Well,
So
that's an excellent segue. Let's get on to FAU. Let's break it down, guys. They are the first opponent, and I say first opponent, the FAU Owls.
yeah, they have 9 guys who play 15 plus minutes, so their depth is there. So their strength is the 3 points. 3-pointers more often relies on made 3-pointers first production more than any other team in the Final Four. So obviously that's their strength against our strength of the 3-point defense. Like, I was looking at here, our defense, our 3-point defense is 17% for the year. And Creighton and Bama they made 5 of 54 threes in those last 2 games. So like they only have 1 senior, but they're talented. They're talented. So it's their strength against ours, man. They're 11-1 in 5 points or less games. So they know how to play close games. The other stat's interesting. We're 22-0 when we allow under 65 points.
Wow.
So
wow.
This is the point where if we continue to make teams play our game, we have a high probability of winning it. But if we start getting, like Dutch said, if you have teams make 6, 7, 8, 9, 3-pointers, that's going to be tough, and that's their strength. But when are our guys going to start, have that offensive explosion? We're winning games, and our guys aren't. It's not like we're offensively efficient and making a ton of points. We're just beating teams down, like you guys said about the Bears and stuff like that. So
that's interesting because even against Furman, it was like the defense led to the offense a lot. We were hitting all our shots, and that was the most dominant, I think, game we've had in the tournament. But everything else was like what we're saying, grinding it out, right? Taking it to the hole, getting to the bigs, and obviously Trammell came up huge against Alabama and different things. So, before we get into Fiend and get your take on FAU and what they bring to the table, what is okay, Darian Trammell won the South Bracket player of the bracket, right? I don't know what their term is for that, but I feel pretty good as far as whether it's Adam Seiko, where it's Matt Bradley. Like every game, there's somebody that's stepping up offensively, new and different in their own way. Lamont Butler had 18 points against Creighton, right? And so I feel like we're due, right? Bradley's due. That's the way I see it. That's how confident I am coming into this game against FAU. I think Seiko's due. He's due for an offensive explosion in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think all three. I think Parrish as well. He had a really off game against Creighton. I don't even know if he hit a shot. So I mean, we're winning these games despite guys having really off games. But we've also faced some really good defenses, and FAU is another really good defense. They're great. Defensive efficiency according to metrics. They're kind of like Alabama, where they don't allow anything at the rim. They don't allow anything beyond the arc. They want all the shots to be taken at the mid-range, which is what we do a lot, and we're very comfortable with that, so we can knock down those shots. But they're a really good team, and I think they really kind of play above their size. They have very small guards, but they grab a lot of rebounds. They're really good at grabbing rebounds. And they have one guy who's 7'1", another guy who's like 6'9". That's pretty much all the length that they have. I mean, every other guy is like almost like between like 6 foot and 6'4", right? And you're right, Mike, they have a lot of guards that they throw at you. But I think with our guards, our strength is our guards too. Well, I mean, I would say our front court as well, but we have really good guards that can defend, especially Lamont Butler. And I really like what Lamont and Darian have done in this tournament, kind of locking up the best guards on the other team. And so I think that FAU is they're going to have a hard time shooting the ball from 3-point range, which they take the majority of their shots from 3. I think like 37% of their points come from the 3-point line, which is like ranks 25th in the country. And so we've been doing a really good job at locking teams down from the 3-point line. So, but I mean, I don't know. I heard today on a podcast, the 3-Man Weave podcast, they're talking about, well, the San Diego State, they can't keep up this 17% defense, 3-point percentage defense that they're, been doing in the tournament. There's going to be a regression back to the mean. And I don't know, man, we're just suffocating teams and making it really hard for them and contesting every shot. So we'll see. I mean, that's going to be, I think the key is our 3-point defense, just because they like to shoot threes so well. That is going to be the how we stop them.
Hey, Fee, what I keep reading about the football stadium anomaly with teams who shoot a lot of threes and the sight lines and stuff. What do you ever look into that? I mean, that's kind of the first time I've really thought about that.
I really haven't looked into it. I don't really know a whole lot about it. I mean, all of the Final Fours are being played in football stadiums now. So I think has the percentages dropped since they started going to more football stadiums as opposed to basketball stadiums? Now, I do know, I think it was Wisconsin played at Miller Field or something that, this year. And it was an awful game because they couldn't see the hoop. So I don't know.
So FAU's path to get to the Final Four, first they beat Memphis by 1 point, 66-65. Then they took down Farley Dickinson, who everybody loved after they won their first game. Took them down 78-70. They ran over Tennessee 62-55, which that was the big shocker, right? Because Tennessee,
that was definitely a big surprise. I think especially because Tennessee is a lot like the Aztecs because of how strong. I think Tennessee is ranked like the number one defense in the country. Now, SDSU, I think, has been playing like the number one defense in the country in the tournament. But Tennessee, their defense is really strong. And I was kind of surprised by what they did to Tennessee, especially because of their lack of size for FAU.
They kept them to 55 points, only 55 points. Next, they took down Kansas State, a 3 seed, by 3 points. I was watching that game intently, right? Of course. That was a really good game. It almost went into overtime. And they pulled it out, man, just grinded it out. Kansas State made a couple bonehead, I think, plays towards the end, but they didn't have an easy path to get to this point. Nobody has an easy path, but I mean, this is the first Final Four with no number one seeds there, at least, right? So number 8, 16, a 4, and a 3, man. And this is the definition of Cinderella. And it just seems like we're in an interesting spot, right? The kind of talk has been, well, San Diego State, they took down the number one of the number ones, but they're too good to be called a Cinderella. They're too legit of a program to be looked at favorably in that way. It's going to be interesting to see how the crowd, the other teams, kind of react to this game. I mean, at this point, I don't think anybody's going to jump on anybody's bandwagon. I don't know. I have a hard time believing people want to see FAU in the national championship game.
I'm really interested to see how many fans they have there. I mean, because they basically play in a high school gym. So, I mean, how big is their fan base? How much? And plus, let's also be real here. There's 2 teams from Southeast Florida, that are in the Final Four. So how big is FAU's fan base? How many people are actually going to be there? I think Aztecs are going to have a huge fan base, as will UConn. I'm not so sure. I don't know about Miami. I have no idea about I know they're more of a football school than basketball, but it'll be interesting to see, the following and how many people are there. And if it feels in that semifinal game like it is Viejas East, and that it is a vacation home like we usually have for the Mountain West Conference tournament. I'm really excited to see that.
That's a good point. I don't think Miami's going to want to play FAU in the national championship game. Just the optics of it. I think for them, it would be such a downer for them.
I would love to have a UConn versus SDSU final. I think that would be really exciting, especially from our standpoint because of the revenge factor from 2011.